The best top expert tips and hacks to make your life better. Life hacks. Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews, and more. This is Mary Collins
with Life Hacks Media, and I have the pleasure to have Eva Weisenbeck, our wellness and health guru, back online with us. How are you, Eva?
Hi, Mary. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm just at the point where I live in my pajamas. It's wonderful. So
no one can see what's underneath.
I won't be standing up anytime soon. Anyway, so we were doing this wonderful series, Critical Thinking versus Conspiracy Theory, as well as our usual wellness and health. And we want people to know that, yes, it does touch upon legislations and laws, but it's not going down any too offensive roads, I think. So speaking of which, what do we have to talk about this week?
So this week, we're going to talk about what is the story with the COVID-19 vaccine.
What's the story? Yes, exactly. Because we're not going to say it's for real or it's not. We just want to know what exactly are the options for a vaccine, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is all back to critical thinking. There is so much. I think as soon as you mention the V word anywhere online or you see it anywhere, it is so emotive. People get really angry or defensive or threatening, actually, and that's not very nice. So we're going to try and talk about it with some critical thinking.
Right. Okay. So first of all, how are they going to make a vaccine for something? Because I've heard that there's not actually anything live in the vaccine that's being proposed. And I'm thinking, because chickenpox and all these other ones actually have a live virus for it to work. Yeah. So how, other than that microchip, is it going to be useful?
Okay, so that is such a brilliant question. Yeah, no, but this is spot on. And this is what's so important. So critical thinking. All the headlines or a lot of media are sort of saying the vaccine, a vaccine, and it's not the case. There are over 100 companies trying to produce vaccines, and I'm going to go back and do a bit of basics here. And there's 4 major categories or classes of vaccines. I'm just going to run through them really quickly because I think it's important that people ask questions. It's back to that, just asking questions. Right, so I'm going to read. The 4 classes are, as you mentioned, live or attenuated vaccines, and they are the ones that are the virus but diluted, so they won't get you too sick, but you'll have an immune response. Things like measles and mumps fall in that category. Then you have inactivated, where they basically, I will say kill, but they don't kill them because they're not alive in the first place, but they sort of use chemicals or heat to treat them. And that's things like the influenza shot. Unless it's the nasal spray, which tends to be live. So again, you need to ask questions because your immune response will be different.
Right.
Yeah. So depending on if you have a healthy and robust immune system, some vaccines are safer for you than others. So again, you need to ask questions.
Right. Because, for example, I heard that people that had the flu vaccine were actually more in danger of COVID, which is like, what? And also, if you have a strong immune system, it's actually worse for you because your immune system responds more harshly and it actually increases the spread of COVID. So I've heard, so there's all this floating around that's quite scary, you know?
It is. And I don't have those answers, but I'm with you. I have also seen research papers saying that you are like up to 3-fold more likely to contract another respiratory infection if you have had the flu vaccine. So there's more research needed for sure. Yeah. So that's so you have live and you have inactivated. The other 2 ones are subunit conjugate. I love all these words. Where they basically take pieces of a virus and put it in a vaccine, and that's sort of enough for your body to trigger an immune response. Yeah. Right. And a good example of that is the shingles vaccine, which a lot of people have heard or been offered. Okay. So like the adult kind of chickenpox thing. And the last one is a toxoid one, which is actually tetanus is one of those. It's been around for a long time. Right. So you don't actually then, they use the toxins that are produced in the body, so you are protected against the toxic effects, but not from the actual infection.
Oh,
that makes
okay.
sense. So it was fascinating.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're
So
a
we'll
geek
both
like
have
me.
MD degrees at the end of this. Thank you, PubMed.
It's insane, isn't it? But here's the most interesting part. So those 4 classes of vaccines have been around for a long time, and they are well-known vaccines. But, some people still react better or worse to them. Some of them last longer. Others, like tetanus and things, you need repeating, or flu, you need every year because it kind of morphs and all sorts. But now we come to the DNA, RNA vaccines and recombinant vector. 2 new classes, but they're all fitting within the DNA.
Okay.
That's a completely new category of vaccine, which we've never had before. All right. So with regards to COVID-19, why that's important is because the mRNA, the first ones ever in the world, are the Pfizer and the Moderna.
And what is that?
Yeah. So instead of using, as you said, like a weak version of a virus that they inject you with to get an immune response, and your body creates antibodies against it. You do actually receive, like, and I'm not an expert, so people like bear with me here, but so it inserts an mRNA sequence into your body, which tells your cells how to and which proteins to produce. So in this case, my understanding is that it's meant to tell you to produce proteins that kind of lock onto these spike proteins that the virus only has.
Sounds kind of cool.
And then they can't attach to anything else because they're already occupied. Yeah.
Right.
Which is fine. And I'll just run through the No, we don't know. I'll run through the recombinant vector because this is also interesting. So the 2 main players in that space are the Oxford AstraZeneca and the Cansino companies.
I watched, really quickly, I just saw something from the Oxford guy, Ben something. I'll post his little YouTube video talking about the sterilization. And I think he's referring to COVID, although I wouldn't think of sterilizing a virus. It's kind of a weird term to use. But anyway, go on.
I did see that interview. It's an interesting one. I don't know. I'm sure we're going to get some clarification on the choice of words there.
Yeah. Once he comes off this whatever he's on when he used that word. But anyway, go on.
But so what this vector vaccine does is they take a weak. It's almost like kind of like a live version. But they take another type of virus. So the AstraZeneca, I believe, are using a chimpanzee cold virus, and they kind of tag on DNA to that.
Okay, so that's really experimental.
So your body will then kind of fight both. They're almost using it as a Trojan horse.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like a carrier to get the DNA into your body.
Wow. But it's a virus. It's still going to be partially a virus, right? And viruses are known to change and adjust and adapt.
Yeah.
So
why work harder when you can work smarter and live better? Life hacks.
But I think so. Yeah, for me, going back to critical thinking, the key thing here is that when you see headlines about the vaccine or a vaccine.
Depends on which one.
Which one? From
and where is it made? Where's it made? Is it coming from? Is it coming from Wuhan?
Yeah, and or Russia, which is also. I don't even think the Russian one went through phase 3 trials. So, there's so much, and as within medical circles, you have informed consent.
Normally.
So well, and I mean, you could actually argue that. A lot of the time that doesn't even exist for medication, but it's so important. But we also have personal responsibility to ask questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Ask now. Don't wait until it's too late when there's all of a sudden half the population is sterile. I mean, the virus is
Yeah.
Madness.
No,
you know,
for sure.
it's
It
madness.
is.
And what is actual death rate of COVID? 1%?
Well, yeah, at maximum, they're kind of estimating between 0.4 and 0.7 is the figures I've seen.
Do you have more chance of being killed by a cow in a field or something like this? I'm trying to like relate what 1% is, because I know people are panicking, but I'm just like, all of this.
Do. I mean, it is very, very interesting, isn't it? I think, again, a lot of this should be down to your personal situation. I mean, it's a bit like the flu vaccine. Some people have it because they're in a risk category. Other people don't take it. But it should be a personal choice.
And that's going to be our next episode, because I have a feeling that they're saying it's going to be voluntary. But what that really means is that you won't be able to have a job unless you have that vaccine, or you won't be able to go shopping unless you have it. It's like, wait a minute, how is that voluntary? Yeah. Unless you have that mark, you know?
Actually, that is a whole nother episode. We will do that, because a lot of people are now looking into the Nuremberg trial after the World War. Because they are talking about the fact that they are not allowed. It can't be mandatory, but it can't be, persuasion, coercion, manipulation. All of these things are stipulated in there. So we would be breaking the law, if you all of a sudden go, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. So, that's another episode.
Right. And dealing also with the World Trade Organization, or what is it called? It's not the
WHO.
Yeah, not the WHO. The other one. Oh. We're saying that the business... They're saying that they think more of these big companies should be the ones in charge of the situation. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Little IT nerd, it should not be in charge of my health. Sorry. No. Anyway, guys, Eva, you're going to post up on lifehacks.com. That's with the K and an X. You're going to post all the information regards to the information that's currently available about these vaccinations, what's in them. And the point that we're making, people, is just do some research, so that if you decide that you want it or you don't want it, that you can go to the representative of your community or the health organization and say, listen, this is why. Not just, I don't want it because, or I must have it because, but why. Your evidence is clear of why this is good or bad for your community and for you. Okay. Thank you so much, Eva. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Mary.
The best top expert tips and hacks to make your life better. Life hacks. Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews, and more.